Introduction. Hello, this is Farina King, and I am here in Brigham City on May 20th, 2023, on the grounds of Intermountain Indian Boarding School that was closed in 1984. And I'm here with Greg. Greg, could you say your full name? What is your full name?
Yes, Gregory Rolette.
Gregory Rolette, and he has already had a lot of time this weekend at this reunion and gathering to reflect and share different memories. So I really appreciate Greg taking the time now to talk to me, Farina King, about your memories and experiences when Intermountain became an intertribal boarding school after 1974. To start off, Greg, could you just give us a little background about where are you from and how did you go to Intermountain, how you went there?
Okay, sure. So, like I said, my name's Gregory Rolette. I'm from the absentee Shawnee tribe of Oklahoma. My father's the absentee Shawnee. My mother was a Lakota Sioux from Fort Yates, North Dakota. She's now buried in McLaughlin, South Dakota. And I myself was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. My parents sent me to boarding school, my first one, which was Chilocco Indian School in Chilocco, Oklahoma, because they didn't want me to, I guess they wanted me to be with the people, is what the idea was. So they sent me to this boarding school in Oklahoma where, I was new. It was all new to me, so I was, a little homesick and stuff. And then after about a year, I got used to it, met friends, some great people, friends I still have today. This was in 1979. The school closed, the U.S. government shut down the school, and I then went back home for the summer. And then after that, from my years 1980 to 1982, I attended Intermountain Indian School in Brigham City, Utah.
Oh, wow. And so you mostly grew up in Los Angeles. Again, why did your family, whose decision was it, and how did it come to be for you to go to Intermountain, do you think?
I believe my parents just wanted me to be with the native people, because in Los Angeles, the Native Americans was kind of few and far between, and plus we were all scattered, throughout the city. And most of my friends were basically Hispanic, and or Mexican or Chicano, and that's why I have that little accent now and stuff. And people, still to this day mistake me for an Hispanic person, but I correct them. I tell them I'm not. I'm full-blooded American, and then we'll take it from there.
Wow.
And so my parents, I believe, wanted me to be with the people and stuff. So which they did. I didn't really fight it. I go, well, let's just see what happens. Even though I was kind of missing my friends from Los Angeles, and so they sent me to these boarding schools, which I went to altogether about 3 years.
Okay, nice. Yeah. And did you graduate from Intermountain? Is that where you graduated from?
No, I did not. During my time, there was a time I was in Chilocco for 1 year. I was in Intermountain Indian School for a year and a half. Got kicked out.
Oh.
And a little too much fun. It was nothing serious. Curfew type things. But it adds up after time. And so I got kicked out, but I did graduate on time
Awesome.
in a high school in Los Angeles.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I know that these are personal memories and everything, and
Yes.
there were a number of students who were expelled from the school, which I heard too, that happened at Intermountain, because they were really. Was it because why was that, you think?
I think a lot of them were just brought up wrong where they came from. Their parents, they probably didn't have good parenting. They were just a little bit on the wild side. I myself, I really wasn't wild, in a bad way, but in a fun way. But it got, I wouldn't say it got out of control, but there was times, like I said, it was basically curfew related things and stuff. But the other people were like bullies. That was my issue with the boarding schools, where the bullies, they would like to pick on the little guy and stuff. But I basically avoided them. and stuff. So they just had bad households, or they came here and they wanted to be stronger than the other guy from this reservation. So you had that clash going on. Then you had the little clashes of tribes, tribes against tribes, and which I heard was very bad back in the early 70s or something, where at the time when I went to school there, they still had that, but it wasn't as large. It was just more of an individual upon individual type of scuffles, and then, but overall, it was a good atmosphere for everyone. Some students, like you said, could not hang, got expelled. Some of them wanted to go home because they were homesick, and or for other reasons.
What were some of your fondest memories of Intermountain, or even, it doesn't have to be fond, it can be just something memorable that you want to share?
I think it's meeting people that I still have relationships with now, friendships and stuff that I keep in touch with. My first love was from Intermountain, so that was memorable, She's gone now, but I still go see the family. They're out there in Zacatán, Arizona, so I still see them, that family, till this day. My other friend, my BFF from Chilocco Indian School, he was kind of like my backup when the bullies would pick on me. He would say, hey, leave him alone and stuff. So, and we got along very well because, I would make him laugh, and then, he was like the physical type guy. I was more kind of like the brains and stuff. And I remember trying to teach him chess one time. And after beating him a few games, he got mad and whacked the pieces and the board off the table and walked out the room. But we were still friends. But he was so much of a best friend where I would go visit him and stuff. And not only that, I put him and his daughter on my life insurance policy.
Wow.
Because he meant that much to me.
Wow.
So that was very fun. And as far as the school itself, the staff, there were some very good teachers there. Some of them were like okay, but I never really had any issues with them, nor did I hear of anything like, say, illegal between students and staff. Well, I mean, more of the grown-ups picking on the students in any type of inappropriate manner. I never heard of anything like that, and nor did that ever happen to me. It was just more like being bullied, but it didn't happen all the time either. So the most part, it was a great experience.
Wow. And where was your friend from? And was that a friend that you met at Chilocco that you stayed in touch with? Like, did that friend also go to Intermountain?
My friend, his name was Tony Sunrise. I met him in Chilocco Indian School. He was from the Muscalero Apache tribe. Wow. So, and he's passed on now, but I still keep in touch with his daughter, Beth. But some of the students that went to Chilocco also came to Intermountain. So I'm friends with them, still. None of them are here at the reunion today, but they know about this little get together. So they're Facebooking me and stuff. Have fun and everything, and I wish I was there. And so I still keep in touch with those people.
Awesome. And so kind of going back to what it was like to go to boarding school, such a big boarding school in the 1980s, intertribal. Can you kind of share, if you had to tell your grandchild or some, kid today in 2023, what was it like to go to boarding school, a native boarding school in the 1980s, and specifically the one you went to, right? That it was intertribal and you had these friends from all these different places and nations. To just kind of, how do you explain that or talk about that?
I would, I talked to my daughters about it and stuff. My eldest daughter, I wanted her to go to boarding school, but her mother wouldn't have it, so. But I'm kind of glad she didn't go, because during that time, things were getting kind of rough and stuff. But when I tell other people, like, overall, I liked it. It was enjoyable, it was memorable. I did learn stuff. I wanted to be a musician, and I tried to, the guitar teacher, that's where I really concentrated on studying music. I learned how to read notes and everything. The overall experience is, the friendship that you achieved while you were there, meeting other people from different tribes, and they would tell you, their stories. I would tell them about the city and stuff, and we just bonded together, and we hung out, and having dinner and breakfast, with them on a daily basis. We lived together. We would have chores. We would have to clean up the dormitories, like at night. Okay, tonight you vacuum the hallways. Next night you're on toilets. Or the outside. The litter and stuff. But after that, we would get snacks. So that's what everybody would line up for, their cookies and sodas and stuff. But they called it pop. I remember that. So it was very, very memorable, and like I said, some people did go there for an education, which they got. I did get something out of it, even though at the same time, it was kind of like the class. I won't say like a class clown, but just being a clown or a punk, if you will, on campus. But I was concentrating on my music and stuff, and I thought for sure that's what I was going to be, was a rock star, which didn't happen. But I did land prosperous jobs. I worked for the Los Angeles County Superior Court for 22 years and 4 months. Retired on my 50th birthday. And now I work for the California Institute of Technology, aka Caltech, in the chemistry and chemical stockroom. And I just deliver chemicals and the gloves and the glass vials and stuff to the professors or the laboratories throughout campus. And I've been there about 6 years.
Wow, that's awesome.
So I did get something from the schools, which helps me out today.
Even kind of going back to how you identify and where you come from, because it's also this very unique, I mean, it's a unique and intricate story of, you kind of went full circle too, of coming from LA and then going to all these different places in Native community and then coming back to LA. And LA is actually a region with one of the highest populations of Native Americans in the country. What do you feel like you specifically learned about yourself on that journey, especially as someone who is identified as Native American? How do you identify yourself and what you learned from these different educational experiences?
I think first and foremost, my priority was I'm just glad to be a Native American, period. And learning, I guess, for the future, like being taught, how to work, teaching, like the mathematics. I remember they had like home economics and stuff, which, I didn't do too well. They had, drafting, but my hands all kind of shaky, so I couldn't draft well. I did some auto mechanics and stuff and everything, but it was really, I don't know, the overall experience, like coming full circle. I mean, like I said, first of all, it was just being with all these other Indians came first before the education. To to be with them and to still be with them, till the end. And to me, the education, I probably could have done better. I know I could have, but didn't. I kind of like settled to where, but I'm still prosperous, in a way, as far as being in the workforce and stuff, and not having a criminal record or anything like that, because I guess I made it, and it was, living in Los Angeles, coming here, Oklahoma and stuff. And I also lived in Tacoma, Washington for a while with my brother, but that was just to get my act together. So I kind of started everything there, and he was like my mentor, I guess, and so he helped me, so I think him, my brother, and mostly all the friends, we kind of like helped each other along and stuff.
Awesome. Yeah, there's a couple of things you mentioned that I want to follow up with a few questions, if that's okay. And of course,
Yes.
if I ever ask anything or say anything, you do not have to answer any of them. It's really up to you what you want,
Okay.
how you want to answer.
Yeah.
But one is that you mentioned music and how important that was to you, and that you already were into music while you were in, like, it sounds like you were in high school age at
Yes.
Intermountain.
Yeah.
How can you talk about more about that? Like, did you play in a band at Intermountain? Did they have music classes that you could engage with? How are you able to express through music? And what specifically about it was Native at all? If anything of it was at all? I'm just curious to hear more about
it
that.
all started
Yeah.
back in Los Angeles, where I was hanging out with my friends there, and then all of a sudden this band came out of nowhere, Kiss and stuff, and I go, well,
Yeah.
they're kind of like cool, and I started listening to them, and then Led Zeppelin came along, and so I kind of got into it. So I was just like, well, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
So I started in Chilocco. I picked up music, and I had this driver's ed teacher who was also the music teacher. So I would stay after school with him,
Yeah.
and he would teach me notes, and so I would play guitar and everything, and he would teach me the notes, and then before that, I guess we're doing driver's ed, which was very simple because all I had to do was drive on the highway, would just go straight, throw a U-turn, and come back. Okay, you pass, And then when I got to Intermountain, I was playing guitar more. I was writing songs, lyrics and stuff, like my own material, because that was my dream. Now we had a talent show at the auditorium that used to be right over there, which is no longer there. I remember playing the song Paranoid from Black Sabbath. It was myself. I was like the lead and rhythm guitarist. I had a bass player. His name was Wilbert Moya. He was out of Wisconsin. And my drummer was an individual named Manuel Goody, who is from the San Carlos Apache Reservation, who is also a very great guitarist himself. And so we did that talent show. We did the song Paranoid from Sabbath. We did one of my originals entitled Running from Hell. And I don't know where we got them from, but we had about 3 or 4 M80s that had my roadies light up and kind of throw them out on stage. So that was kind of fun, having the little pyrotechnics go off and the girls kind of screaming, not because they were screaming at me, they were at fear because the M80s were going off, and the smoke kind of came out. So I was like living the dream at that moment. But after all that, we got disqualified from the talent show because we were too loud.
That's so cool.
But that was very memorable.
Yeah.
And another part was, I don't know why this one band asked me to be like their roadie, which I am not. So they had me work the spotlight. A couple weeks later, I got on the spotlight and they're playing. It was a Navajo band, and they're doing their country stuff. So they did this one part where they're introducing band members. Oh, this is so and so on the guitar and stuff. And me, not knowing individuals that well, was putting a spotlight on the wrong person. So I could hear it from the band. I could hear it like from the crowd, like that. Oh, is it this guy? No, that's the drummer. Is it this guy? No, this guy's selling the popcorn. That's it. Oh, I don't know. So that's why I'm not a roadie.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that you wrote your own music too.
Yes.
So what inspired you to write them? Like, even, you gave us a title of one of your songs, but like, what inspired you to write these songs?
And a lot of imagination and I guess talent, I guess. But I used like life experiences and I was pretty good at like rhyming, which I thought, this sounds good. It rhymes with this, red and dead and just words like that. And I would put them in sentences and then I came up with some very great stuff. I thought some of them came out to be actual songs. Some of them are just sitting there now, like I guess poetry, if you will, or something. This very, very last song I wrote was a love song for this girl, the one that got away, and I put everything together. and loved how it came out, but I never put music to it. But the song is entitled "Bleeding to Death." So, I just came up with stuff like that, and another title like "Killer Angels." That
Yeah. So a lot of your music had to do with being a adolescent, like just figuring out life and your experience and
Yes.
different things.
Yeah.
But so some of it was the romance.
Yeah.
What about, like, did you see anything of trying to express your Native identity? I'm just curious of.
That's a
Or
that's a good
specific.
question, because no, actually, I don't know why I didn't. Because because I kept the native things native, and my fantasy world, and I don't want to like combine the two. Maybe now that I think of it, because I never thought of putting native, making a native song, and I mean it's like the country music and stuff. I could probably do something like that, but it never really occurred to me. Mine was more like you said, adolescence. Some of it was real good, like fantasy type stuff, but it all came out good. I have a painting, this one called "The Blasting Silence," and I have a painting that I did in the 12th grade when I went to that other school once I left here, and I have it framed up and everything.
Wow.
That's very good. But
So you painted too.
a little bit, yeah. It was, it looks good. It goes with the song. I have to maybe show it to you someday. It's neat.
That's awesome.
And yeah, but I never thought about, the native portion of it. I never really thought of it because I kept native, the issues, the powwows, the life, and stuff. On that side, and this was my hobby and stuff, or my dream. So yeah, I kept it separate that way, and I never knew I was doing it that way.
Wow, awesome. And then my second follow-up questions were about, you said that you sometimes would go past curfew or like breaking rules, and that got you in trouble. Could you talk a little more about what was that like? Like, what kind of rules and why were you breaking them? Like getting in that head again as a native boarding school student at Intermountain, and whatever you're comfortable with sharing, because that's kind of it's a resistance in a way, of like not conforming and breaking the rules, right?
Yeah. Well, I think my thing was like a little rebellious type thing, because I think by this time being with the Indians and stuff, and this is our land, and we were put here because of the U.S. government and stuff. So it was kind of like maybe like more like a rebellious type thing, but going at it, the wrong way. But a lot of it wasn't more, I would say, like criminal. It was more like fun. Well, let's just go like drink and stuff or something, and the students did drink. There's some that I know now who don't, or there are some that I know that are gone now because of it. But it was, I guess, it's something to do. But to me, my priority was, as long as nobody got hurt, it was fun. We came back, we had a good time, we were laughing. There was a little police patrol called Care Center. They would come by and pick you up if it was curfew, or if the students were drinking and or fighting, or any other mischief, vandalism, for instance. They would pick them up. They would put them in this building called Care Center and keep them there for like 4 hours or something. Now, if their behavior was more than that, then they would go to, it was a juvenile hall down the street here called Moita, which a lot of students, or not, well, some students have gone to and stuff. And like I said, my stuff was basically curfew related. I did drink. There was, some smoking pot. Yes, there was. I guess I could, admit that now.
Like now,
for the record. But it was fun, and I was with great people, and I enjoyed the company. And like I said, at the end of the night, if everybody got back to their rooms in one piece, it was a good night.
But the school had all these different rules, like you had to be in your dorm at
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock every night?
The weekends was like at 11.
Wow.
And the funny part was the one in Chalaco Indian School, what they did on school nights, I still laugh to this day. that they would shut off all the electricity, the lights, to make you go to bed. So we would be there. I would have a stereo listening to music, and it comes 10 o'clock, the lights would go off, and everybody, you had the dorms, the male dorms, female dorms, and everybody would just start screaming like an uprising, hey, turn on the effing lights and stuff like that. And I would just laugh. I thought it was hilarious. And it would be, every night it was like that.
Wow. Wow.
And out here, they didn't turn off the lights, but you had to be in, and they had dorm monitors who would check on you and stuff.
Yeah.
And some of the, like I said, some of the dorm monitors, people that work here were great. We became best friends. This one dorm monitor, a little story. What he would do, he would come in the middle of the night, you're sleeping, he would shine a flashlight in your face. So I get this light in my face, I wake up, and he points the light at the mask that he's wearing, like that. So it would, freak me out, or whoever, So that was kind of funny and stuff. And the other stuff, that I did, it was just, it really wasn't serious. It was just, study stuff, some drinking, some smoking weed, and that's it, a couple of fist fights, but that was because that person to me deserved it. And then sometimes I got beat up one time because I deserved it, and I admit it, but I learned from it. And some people, and the other people, like that one, like punch me or whatever, were just bullies. They just want somebody to suck up because they were having a bad time at where they're from, at their home, where their parents are from. So that was their release, so I was the victim. But I avoided those types of people, at all costs. And so it was an experience, and would I do it again? Yes.
Yeah.
And like I said, nobody got hurt, and I really honestly didn't do anything seriously bad.
I appreciate you talking about the bullying, because that's something I hear a lot through different boarding school stories, that it's really hard to talk about, and it still continues among youth today, right? Of bullying and how that happens, and then how that can be so intensified in a boarding school, because you're always together with these people, right? Or like you live with them. You can't go home or something like that. So I was going to ask, like, how did you navigate that? And especially when you are all Native students, because that, I think, is the very touchy, sensitive part of talking about it in boarding schools, is because often boarding school narratives are like, oh, it's the teachers, the officials who are non-Native punishing or like hurting the kids. But it's really hard to talk about, like, when a victim becomes a perpetrator, like you're mentioning, like why do people bully, and really the heartbreaking dynamic there of your peers, why are y'all not getting along, like kind of those questions, and how to navigate that. I think that it's hard to talk about.
I think some of the students just wanted to be tougher than the other guy, and I was never like that, because if you're the tough guy, there's always going to be someone stronger than you, and I didn't want to get in that mess, and I always walk away from battles like that, and some people don't like that. Oh yeah, you're a sissy, you're this or that, but I still have my teeth, and you have 3 left, So that's he looked like a hockey player, So there were you said some people were really so like in fights all the time. I think that's what they grew up knowing. They didn't know. Stuff like that. Because my friend Tony Sunrise, he was like that. He was like a real physical, sometimes like violent guy. But so I guess I was trying to kind of calm them down. We learned from each other. I tried to teach him how to play chess. We were playing basketball one time, and I tried to do a fancy move, but it made me look silly, and I missed the basket anyways. And he told me, and I remember this till this day, he goes, if you're not, fancy, don't try to be. Wait till you get it, and then, like, get it right. I just made myself look stupid. And there were probably girls on the side right there. Like, you gotta have them. No, you take them. So, So
Just kind of those relations. Something I wanted to ask you too is that what's really unique about your story is you went to Chilocco, which also was this big federal Indian boarding school, intertribal.
Nowhere.
Yeah, and
Yes.
you were there right at its end. Like it
Yes.
closed while you were there, right? And that was a part of your move to Intermountain, which is all the way to Utah. So those are big differences. How did those two schools compare? And then, even your thoughts about Chilocco being there when it closed, and you were at Intermountain a little right before it closed, because it closed in 1984.
Yes.
So you're one of these legacies of both these schools as they're changing, and I mean these closures that happen too. Thoughts on that and how they compare and things?
Well, the comparison, I think, from both schools in Oklahoma, there was a lot of, real, to me, they were like, which they are, rugged Indians, mostly from Oklahoma and stuff. And, they also came, from Kansas and everything. But it took me a while to get used to the lifestyle. And what I do remember, which I don't understand to this day, they had a campus shop where they sold sodas and chips, and they had pool tables and stuff. They also sold cigarettes to the students, which I thought was kind of strange. I was like, well, okay. But then...
In Chilocco. This was Chilocco.
Yes,
okay.
I remember them selling cigarettes. But then some of the students there were into the chewing tobacco thing. They were chewing beech nut or skull and all that, and even some of the females did, they'll start chewing their tobacco and they'll come to me, kiss me, no, thank you, try some lifesavers first for a couple of days, then we'll talk, and it was yeah, to me it took some getting used to. I was there for a full year. Maybe it was the first, I would say like month or maybe even two. Then I started like selling, like, well, okay, I guess I'm here. And then what? You're from LA and all this, and so we started. A lot of my friends, like my friend Tony Sunrise, there was another group of guys that we would all hang out with that were Muscalero Apache. So we started playing, to kill the time, rummy. With the cards and stuff, but they had their own way of playing it, so we'd play cards, and, in the evening times and stuff, and then there was the weekends when we would kind of sneak off campus and, grab some beers and stuff and sit out on the prairie, and we were by this fence, with the barbed wire and the post. You go on the other side and you're in Kansas, and then you come back on this side, you're in Oklahoma.
It was on that border, is what you're saying.
Yeah, we're on the north central border of Oklahoma, so... And then, like, the same thing there. As long as nobody got hurt, it was fine. But there was some, people there, fighting and stuff. And I never really got into any brawls or anything over there because I was just too, like, kind of like to myself. And I would see it happening. I go, I'm not going to get involved in that. Then when it came to Chilocco, it was more like I was kind of like that was. Chilocco was like my coming to, that was my boot camp, I guess, So then when I came here, I just kind of like let loose. I go, well, this is crazy.
You mean to Intermountain, like when you went over here?
Yeah, when I got to Intermountain, and that's when, that's when I really started like writing more songs and then playing music, and then, those, drinking in the, we would go out to town and stuff, and. It was really like it was good, but then I still went to class and stuff. There'd be times when I ditched, and I would go. I would have a little bit of money, and I remember that my first love, we would like ditch class together. We would always go to this little restaurant back this way, a burger joint, and we would always share like hot fudge sundae together and stuff. Then come back on campus because by that time school was out for the day. So we did that, and she had to leave because she was a solo parent. She brought her daughter up. They had a solo parent dorm here, so yeah, she was a solo parent. Not at first, but she missed her. She brought her back after Christmas or something. Said, okay, that's fine. But then her daughter got sick up here, so they were in the hospital down here, And then while that happened, her grandmother passed away. She went back home, and I didn't see her again until the summer, till I finally got out of school here to go visit her and stuff. And the first of all, the big difference was the population. Chilocco had maybe like 200, maybe 300, I guess, students. There was 1,000 some odd. So when I first got here, now by 1984, it was dwindled down to like 300 and stuff. Now once I got kicked out in 1982, in 83 and 84, I did come back for the graduations, just because, you know, I like this place, I like the people. I would travel, you know, up here and see the graduations. Now, in 1984, the graduation there was this one individual, I don't know who he was, the principal or superintendent. He made this speech that I wish I had the paper with me because it was so great, and he was giving it to us like it was, the students that were there. And I'm sitting back, not even a student, I'm like, wow, this guy. You know, what he was saying was just so magnificent, very powerful. And then after that, you know, all the students were going home. And then the last two chartered buses that were putting the students on, they got on and they drove off campus, and I was the very last student to walk off campus, and it was quiet.
Wow. So, wow. So you were there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was that. Yeah.
So you were the last student, is what you're saying, who walked off. Wow.
Because everybody they jumped on those two buses to have a photograph.
Wow.
They drove off, and they walked out that way.
Wow.
I looked back.
Wow, that's incredible. I only really have one last question I wanted to be sure to ask you. Is you came all the way, you know, to this reunion from LA. Why? Why do you come?
Just to relive everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why. And you know, the friends, it was great. You know,
Yeah.
you had to been there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to been there.
You just had to.
Yeah.
And you've already talked to, I know the news was here, and they have people asking about art and stuff. So I bet that's all evoked a lot of the memories even
I
more.
didn't really expect it and stuff. And they want me to go out there and like play guitar now too, but I'm not up to it.
Oh, up on the
I do-
stage because they
yeah.
have a band here.
Yeah,
Everybody's
and
gathered.
they're talking about it. I'm like, nah, I don't want to. I'm like, nah, I get too nervous. That was one thing during my music thing. I noticed I was stage fright, you know. But once I got going, then I was like okay with it. But I always had that issue because I was born with this little nervousness I had throughout my life.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's why I backed down from a lot of fights and stuff. Then first of all, it was common sense. I go, no, I can't beat you. Why am I gonna, you know, I have nothing to prove. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it's one time, you know, away from the schools, I was at this party with a bunch of Indians, and these two guys came up to me, and this one guy said, I bet you this guy could beat you in an arm wrestle. And I said, you know what, I bet you he could too.
Yeah, like that's mine.
Yeah. And they looked at each other because they didn't know how to respond to that. Because it would have been different if it was anybody else. And, you know, they couldn't take it. You know, they're probably in rehab now because, you know, you know. But, no, I was glad to come here. I'm glad what you're doing for us.
Thank you.
You know, I appreciate it. I'll probably be here next time. I don't know when. Will it be next year? Will it be another couple years? You know, who knows? That climb up to the eye yesterday, it took a lot on me because, first of all, I had open heart surgery about 3 years ago.
Wow.
But I chanced it anyway. If I would have, you know, passed away up there, it would have been worth it. You know, I guess. Or just leave me there, you know.
Wow.
But yeah, because that's the reason why I came up there, because it's worth it, you know, the people, being with the people. That's what it's all about. And I also, another thing, I also like joined the American Indian movement, the LA chapter and stuff, and I'm into freeing Leonard Peltier. He should be released, you know, yesterday.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I told somebody else, you know, I don't know if you know the story or not.
Yeah.
So my opinion is on that with Leonard Peltier is, one, he didn't do it at all, so he shouldn't be in prison. Choice number two, he did do it, but because of the reasons why he did it, he still shouldn't be in prison.
So either way,
Either way,
he shouldn't
he
be in
shouldn't
prison.
be there. Now, what do I honestly believe out of the two? Honestly believe he did it, but because of what was going on during that time, he shouldn't be in prison. Now, if those two, officers, agents were sitting, at a restaurant having dinner, he just came up and shot them, just like that, and then no, he should be in prison. But that wasn't the issue, it wasn't, he wasn't like everybody claims I'm mentally, weak, or what do they call it now? Huh?
Mentally ill
Mentally
or
ill.
off. Yeah.
No, there was reason for it, and I believe in the reason that he did it. I mean, I wish it didn't happen, of course, but it did happen.
Wow.
For that reason. So
Did you learn about Leonard Peltier while you were in school, in like a youth, or after?
I think
later,
I would pick up stuff here and there throughout the years, and
or learned about AIM and things
yes,
going
AIM,
on.
Because I have a half sister who's passed away now, who was a member of AIM, and she came out of Pine Ridge, so there was that connection because that shooting happened on Pine Ridge.
Yep.
And she was kind of up there during that time, and that little the takeover, whatever, wounded knee and stuff, and she came down, and I would listen to her and stuff, and she was a tough cookie herself.
Wow. And you said she was a house sister. What does that mean?
Half sister.
Oh, half sister.
Yes,
so
half
she is your sister.
Yeah, my mom's side.
Wow.
Yes.
That's
And,
right. Connection.
so I started picking up from there.
Wow.
And then the more I learned about it, there's that video incident at Oglala. I don't know if you ever seen it or not. It explains a lot about it, and I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
But I still have some questions.
Yeah.
During that time when all the Indians were getting murdered up there, my uncle was one of them also.
Wow.
So maybe that's why I have to go that route, I guess. And
you have those personal connections.
Yeah, it was personal. Yes.
And ties to it. Yeah. And you are also absentee Shawnee, and it's Lakota.
Yeah, my father's the absentee Shawnee and Delaware.
And Delaware.
My mother is the Lakota Sioux from Fort Yates, North Dakota.
Fort Yates, yeah.
It's Standing Rock Reservation.
Yeah. So do you feel like in boarding school, as you're meeting all these students from different tribal nations, like Mescalero, you're mentioning like all these other
Red Lake,
Chippewa, all these places, Wisconsin areas, that how did you start to like situate yourself of where your family was? Like, did you meet other absentee Shawnee there? Because like when you're in LA, that's probably hard. That's far from those ancestral lands too. And then did you meet others from your communities when you were in these schools at Chilocco or Intermountain? Not as much? Okay.
Yeah, no. And the funny thing is, since I grew up in California and being, with the natives down there, I never really associated with the California tribes at all in California. They're all from out of state. They're all from Nebraska, Utah.
The ones you connect with in LA.
Because I couldn't go like to Pachanga, which is in California.
Yeah.
Hey, I know you. I don't know anybody. Or up north. It's just it didn't happen that way. It's not that. I have this prejudice against them. I just don't know anybody from those tribes.
So like the dynamics being different too of like tribes from those areas from up here. Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Well, I thank you so much for talking and sharing. I know you were up on the eye yesterday when we were climbing up there, and that is not easy, not at your age. And like you said, it's a lot, means so much to you all. Was there anything you wanted to add? I know you already shared some, or anything you wanted to be sure to share or want people to remember and know.
People in the future that are watching this, now that the school was here, will always be here.
Yeah.
See, they'll be here in our hearts, I guess. When it comes down to it. That's why we keep coming back. Otherwise we wouldn't. And it's unfortunate what happened to us, throughout history, and I still carry that with me. And I asked this one guy one time, what do we do? They're coming over and this and that, taking our land. And this one Indian guy, he passed away too. And he just looked at me, he shrugged his shoulders, because that's all he could do. But I'm a proud, Native American, and that's all there is to it.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing, not even money could, is worth this, being who I am. So,
Mm-hmm.
so yeah, I'm just glad I'm here today with my friends out there, who's left and stuff. And I wish more students would. That I just know that they're not able to because
It's a
finances and
lot.
stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot on
Right.
you all.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I saved the vacation time. I saved a couple bucks,
Yeah.
and stuff. And yeah, I made the trip because I had to do it before, I'm gone or whatever. So this may be my last time here. We don't know, but maybe not. I might climb that high again.
Yeah.
So thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.